Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
The floor is
I'm
yours.
actually happy to be with you today. I love the discussion. I could literally add a lot, especially considering the fact that I am a Palestinian child that lives under the Israeli occupation and under this apartheid settler colonial regime that is affecting my life every day. Yeah, my name is Jana and I'm 15 years old. I live in the village of Nabi Saleh in Palestine. I'm a journalist and an advocate for Palestinian children's rights around the world. Um, Living under the Israeli occupation is, of course, not easy. And uh, living under the Israeli occupation means your life is literally affected from every single aspect you could possibly imagine. Just due to the fact that you're a Palestinian, you're considered as a second class citizen, you're discriminated against, and that causes your rights to be violated. That causes your life to not be normal, your childhood to be violated from you as a child. And you know, the Israeli occupation violates most, if not all, of our rights. I mean, we could look and, talk about so many of our experiences and so many stories of Palestinian children where they face the violation of their rights on a daily basis. We get our right to education violated, our right to movement, our right to literally just feel safe in our own houses, our rights to health, and the list can literally just go on. I mean, if I just can give like brief examples on some of these rights that are violated. The right to education, which is something that shouldn't even be talked about. It should be given to every single human being on this earth. They should be given their right to education. They should be able to go to their schools, be able to learn, be able to think of a future. But as a Palestinian child, you are restricted and you are put in a box. You have boundaries and limits to all of these dreams. On our ways to our schools, we face several checkpoints on our way, restricting our movement. I personally faced two checkpoints and these checkpoints, let's say they're not even checkpoints, the Israeli checkpoints that are put on the entrances of most, if not all, Palestinian villages, are literally blockades where the Israeli occupation forces just block the street. You're not allowed to get in or get out. And for me, instead of me reaching my school, which is in Ramallah, which is 30 minutes away maximum from Nabi Saleh, if there were no checkpoints, I would have to take a whole other route that takes me up to 3 hours sometimes to reach my school. And that is if there is not another checkpoint or another blockade on that street that would just not allow me to go to my school at all. I Even when I reach my school, I'm usually late. I miss a lot of my classes. In a lot of schools, my friends' schools, they always tell me about what happens in the school in Nabi Saleh, or my friends from Nablus tell me what usually happens in their schools. The Israeli occupation forces attack schools so many times in Nabi Saleh, whenever the Israeli occupation would raid the village, because of course they can do whatever they want, and it's just normal raids with no, actual or a justifiable reason. They usually attack schools during when the school day, when the Palestinian children are in their schools. They would start shooting at the schools. Gas canisters would be shot inside the schools when the children are taking classes. Several children have been even arrested from inside their schools. The Israeli occupation forces would raid the schools, arrest the child from their class, uh, from their schools, and that is also justified by the Israeli law, because we as Palestinian children are not considered to be normal children. We actually fall under the Israeli military law, which states that if you're a Palestinian child, you're 12 years old or over 12, you can get arrested, interrogated, treated like a criminal for no reason, or sometimes for just defending your land, your house, your rights, yourself. And so many children, even under 12. My cousin Samir was arrested at 11 years old. Um, child in Hebron yesterday was arrested at 10 years old. These children get arrested. They are taken to police centers, interrogated alone for several hours a day, put in solitary confinement. They are forced to sign papers that would press charges on them in Hebrew, which is a language they don't understand. They're not allowed to have a lawyer or a parent in these interrogations. They are put in solitary confinement, put in jail, not allowed to get visitors. Their families are not allowed to visit them. They're not allowed to call their families. So many of my friends that have gotten arrested, my cousins who have gotten arrested, we literally just lost communication with them for weeks when they're in the interrogation center, because we are not privileged enough to literally just call our children and know where they are, what's happening with them. They get Palestinian children during the arrests, of course, most of their rights are violated during the arrest. They can get arrested for no charges and get arrested for stupid charges that could be just literally they're not stupid. I wouldn't call them stupid. They're just charges that shouldn't be exactly illegal. Do some Palestinian children got arrested for posting something on social media that is literally just them filming an Israeli soldier raiding their house. Some people have gotten arrested for participating in a peaceful demonstration or marching. During these arrests, Palestinian children get tortured in so many different ways. Of course, physically, a lot of illegal ways of torture internationally get Palestinian children and Palestinian people get subjected to, and of course mentally. I could of course tell you guys examples if you want later, but yeah, so also they violate so many international laws based on that. They violate our rights as Palestinian children doing all that, and that's just the right to be able to go to school or be able to get a normal education. We have so many other rights that are violated. Our right to move, as I said, now during winter, so many Palestinian children are refugees. We have over 8 million Palestinian refugees that have been forcefully displaced out of their houses in 1948 and 1967, and are still being forcefully displaced, this is an ongoing catastrophe that has been ongoing since 1948 till now. Palestinian children and Palestinian families are being kicked out of their houses, and these Palestinian families are becoming refugees. And just imagine the lives of these refugees right now in Palestine. It's winter, it's literally freezing. I'm like wearing gloves in the house. So imagine these Palestinian children that have no houses, or the Palestinian children in Jericho that are their houses are threatened at any moment to be demolished just because it's built in Area C, which is an area that is in the West Bank, which is supposedly the land for Palestinians, but it's, of course, being annexed all the time to build illegal Israeli settlements on our houses, or build the apartheid walls that separate us from our people. And so these people are always under constant threats to become refugees. The people in Sheikh Jarrah, in Jerusalem, in Silwan, everywhere in Palestine. In Gaza, you guys mentioned the fact that, Palestinian schools get demolished in Gaza. Palestinian hospitals have gotten demolished in Gaza. Our right to health is also getting taken away from us. Palestinian children that are suffering due to health issues in Gaza because they're under siege because of the Israeli occupation that, since Gaza is the largest open-air prison all over the world, Palestinians in Gaza are not allowed to go in or outside Gaza, without an extremely painful or extremely hard, things and stuff that they have to go through. So Palestinian children that are facing extremely hard medical stuff and are, they need urgent medical care, they are unable to get out of Gaza to get medical, to just go to if other hospitals, because the hospitals in Gaza are not allowed to get, basic machines or basic stuff that they need for their hospitals. And sometimes there are so many Palestinian children that have been able to get out of Gaza for how critical their situation is, but their parents were not allowed to get out of Gaza with them. So imagine a 5-year-old who has cancer or like an extremely hard medical condition, who is in a hospital under constant operations and going through surgeries and so many stuff, but they don't have their mom by their side to hold their hand or to tell them stories at night or anyone to hug them, or these basic stuff that we don't exactly think about are the stuff that truly affect the Palestinian children. The right to feel safe in our own houses. I never feel safe in my own house because I, as a Palestinian child, I cannot be protected by my parent, or I am not protected by anyone just because I'm a Palestinian. An Israeli occupation, an Israeli soldier can just come and raid my house at the moment and kill me, literally kill me, and never be held accountable for it. And it happened so many times. So many Palestinian children get arrested and killed from their houses. We never feel safe. We are never protected. And the people who violate our rights and kill us and violate even our right to life, which is the most basic human right that's violated from us, they never get held accountable, or held accountable, but in extremely non-accountable way, literally just not being held or being held accountable by going into prison for like 1 month or something, which is like literally one in like 1,000 cases. And since also this is an English organization in Britain, I'm also gonna talk about that. I think calling on the people of Britain, and of course not only the people of Britain but the people of the whole entire world, to actually do their duty in standing up for the Palestinian rights and the Palestinian children, and standing up against this apartheid settler colonial regime that is being practiced, against the ethnic cleansing, against the genocides, against the basic stuff that every single human being that at least has a dot of humanity left in their hearts should stand against. It's your duty to stand up against that now, because England was the one to pass the Balfour Declaration that gave the Israeli Zionists the right to kick Palestinians out of their houses and literally take over a land with no people, for people with no land. But Palestine is a land for people. We are native to Palestine. We have been in Palestine for thousands of years, and hopefully we will stay in Palestine because it is our land. So I call on every single human, any free human in this world, to stand up and do your duty and do the works that you should have been working on since literally 1948. But it's being late is better than not doing them ever. So I call on you to unite, because I believe that we are actually the generation of change, because we don't compromise, we don't give up, we have so much energy, and I believe we should use that to hopefully reach our aim of collective liberation, to liberate Palestine, to give the Palestinian refugees and the Palestinian children that are in refugee camps all over the world the right to return to Haifa, to Jaffa, to Ramallah, to Jenin, everywhere in Palestine. Collective liberation, because when we liberate Palestine, it is the first step to end all forms of injustices in the world, forms of poverty, so forms of the systems that are violating people's rights. And without the liberation of Palestine, we won't be able to do that. So hopefully we can together dismantle all these unjust systems and put an end to this ethnic cleansing and to this form of settler colonialism by the Zionists in Palestine. Thank you.
Are you able to hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for the fantastic speech. I just have one follow-up question to you, Mr. Mimi, which is, can you describe to us the situation or the, I don't know, the scene that made you, that triggered you into starting to document what's happening around you, if you recall?
Right. I mean, I've been living my whole life under occupation. I've been living my whole life in Palestine, in Nabi Saleh. I was born in 2006, and Nabi Saleh, as I said, I was living in Nabi Saleh my whole life. Nabi Saleh is an extremely small village in the West Bank, close to Ramallah, and also surrounded by Israeli settlements and, Israeli checkpoints, etc. We have Israeli illegal settlement that is expanding by annexing more and more of our lands, called Halmich, which is actually one of the biggest Israeli illegal settlements built in the West Bank. It was, the settlement at a certain point in 2009, they annexed our main source of water, which is Ain al-Qus, which means the spring of the rainbow. And that was the main source of water for the people of Nabi Saleh. And when they annexed that source of water, of course, the Israeli occupation annexes most of our natural resources and controls all of them. So when they took over that, we as the Palestinians that were in Nabi Saleh, we only got 12 hours of water a week. And then the Israeli illegal settlers that are in our lands, annexed lands, that are only literally one street away from us, we're getting 24 hours of water a day and paying 3 times less of the price that we had to pay for 12 hours of water a week. So the Palestinians in Nabi Saleh decided to start their weekly demonstrations. And I mean, I was born into an activist family. I've been my whole life just, listening to the stories of my grandma and my grandpa that were deported to Jordan due to their activism, etc. So when the demonstrations started in Nabi Saleh against, the annexing of our lands, against the occupation in general, my family used to go to these demonstrations, but I was always super scared. And I used to stay in the house with my grandma. But at a certain point when I was 5, that was in 2011, one of my friends, my friend Mustafa, he's actually like our cousin, but that like he's older than us, but like he was like the best person in the family. He would literally take us, the children, to the supermarket all the time, play with us, carry us. We literally loved Mustafa so much. But in 2012, during one of the weekly demonstrations, the Israeli occupation forces would raid the village from like 8 a.m., stay and suppress the protesters that would protest at like 12 p.m., something around that. And then they would leave the village at night at 8 p.m. So it was like around 7 or something, and like the Israeli occupation forces were just gonna leave the village. Rand, Sam, and Hamoude, which are my friends, we were on the mountain, which is like in the middle of the village. The village is extremely small, and the mountain falls right on the main street. So we were collecting flowers, or I don't know what we were doing, but then we heard someone saying that someone got injured from the main street. So we all ran down the mountain to literally see Mustafa laying on the floor with blood all over his face. We were holding his hand. Blood was all over everywhere on the street, and we saw Mustafa taking his last breaths. It was extremely hard on us. We loved Mustafa, and his blood was like on the street for several days after that. And the Friday after that, something literally broke in me. Like I had so many feelings. I was so angry. I was so sad. I missed Mustafa. I was like, with the Israeli occupation forces raided at my house the week after. It was actually my first time standing up to them and telling them like, why did you kill Mustafa and all that. And then a year after, my uncle Rushdie got killed, I also witnessed that. And then a year after the murder of my uncle Rushdie, I was just trying to figure a way out to try at least to send the feelings that I felt to the world. So I just took my mother's phone during one of the Fridays and started filming. And I think like 3 Fridays after that, my mom found 4 videos on her phone of me reporting what was going on. And you would just like see my face, and I would have the protesters behind me, and we would like in the videos you would see the Palestinians holding flags and singing and chanting, and then the Israeli occupation forces suppressing them, and I would show the types of chemical weapons that they were using, gas canisters, pepper sprays, so many other forms of weapons that were being shot on us. So yeah, after that, we just posted them, and then a lot of people were like, we never knew that actually happens in Palestine. So that was a way that I started, and I was 7 years old, and I, thank God I found a way to actually send my message to the world, which is technically just very similar, or it is the same message of all Palestinian children, the message that we just want a normal life and without occupation.